What if I told you the key to stronger digestion, a healthier heart, and a sharper mind after 55 has been sitting in jars in kitchens for thousands of years? The foods your grandmother grew up eating carry living cultures that modern science is only now catching up to. Today, I am giving you 15 fermented foods every American over 55 should be putting on the table this week. Stay with me, because number 9 has a story that will change how you think about what is in your refrigerator. Subscribe to Evergreen Garden now. Number 1 is sauerkraut. If there is one fermented food that has kept more households healthy through hard winters over the past 400 years than any other, this is it. Sauerkraut sits on shelves in grocery stores across America, and most shoppers walk right past it without any idea what they are missing. Sauerkraut is cabbage and salt, left to ferment for 1 to 3 weeks. What happens in the jar during those weeks is where all the value lies. Lactic acid bacteria, naturally present on the cabbage, break down sugars and multiply into billions of beneficial microbes that support a healthy gut. The history of sauerkraut goes back thousands of years. Chinese workers building the Great Wall ate fermented cabbage to survive long construction seasons. Roman soldiers carried it on campaigns for digestive health. German immigrants brought it to America in the 17th and 18th centuries, and it became so tied to German-American culture that it was briefly renamed Liberty cabbage during World War I. During the Civil War, Union doctors prescribed it to prevent scurvy among troops before vitamin C was understood. Modern research has confirmed high levels of probiotics, vitamin C, vitamin K, and fiber in raw, unpasteurized sauerkraut. Clinical studies have linked regular consumption to improved digestion, stronger immune function, and lower inflammation markers in the blood. Choose refrigerated, unpasteurized versions. Shelf-stable sauerkraut is cooked and no longer carries live cultures. A few forkfuls with meals, 2 or 3 times a week, is enough. Number 2 is kimchi. If sauerkraut is the workhorse of Western fermentation, kimchi is the flavor powerhouse of the East, and it delivers more beneficial compounds per bite than almost any fermented food you can buy. Kimchi is traditionally made from napa cabbage, radish, garlic, ginger, chili powder, and salt, fermented for days or weeks. The result is a tangy, spicy condiment that carries multiple strains of lactic acid bacteria, antioxidants from the chilies and garlic, and prebiotic fiber from the vegetables. Kimchi has been made in Korea for more than 2,000 years. Historical records describe early versions preserved in clay pots buried in the ground to hold steady fermentation temperatures through Korean winters. The tradition of kimjang, the communal fall kimchi making, is still practiced today and was recognized by UNESCO as a cultural heritage. Korean Americans brought kimchi to American cities in the 20th century, and by the 2000s, it was widely available in every major U.S. supermarket. Modern research has confirmed that kimchi contains beneficial bacteria, including Lactobacillus plantarum and Leuconostoc mesenteroides. Studies have shown regular kimchi consumption supports gut microbiome diversity, lowers cholesterol, and may slow certain aging markers. Korean research has linked frequent consumption to healthier body weight and better glucose response. For Americans over 55, kimchi is one of the easiest ways to add variety to a fermented food routine. A couple of tablespoons served with meals 3 or 4 times a week is enough. Start mild if you are sensitive to heat and work up. Number 3 is Greek yogurt. Most people already have this in the fridge and have no idea it outperforms almost every other dairy product sold in America for gut health, bone strength, and muscle preservation after 55. Greek yogurt is strained yogurt. The straining process removes much of the whey, leaving behind a thicker, creamier product with roughly twice the protein of regular yogurt and far less sugar. What stays in the jar is a dense population of live bacteria, including Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus, 2 strains with decades of clinical research behind them. Yogurt has been made in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean households for at least 7,000 years. Early nomadic peoples stored milk in animal skin bags that naturally cultured it as they traveled. Greek immigrants popularized the strained version in American kitchens during the 20th century, and by the 2000s, it had become one of the fastest-growing categories in American grocery stores. Modern research has confirmed that regular Greek yogurt consumption supports digestion, strengthens bones through high calcium and protein content, and helps maintain muscle mass during aging. Studies have linked daily yogurt intake to lower risk of type 2 diabetes and better heart health. Choose plain, full-fat, or 2% Greek yogurt with no added sugar. Flavored versions often contain more sugar per serving than a candy bar. Add berries, a drizzle of honey, or a spoonful of nut butter at home. A cup a day delivers real benefits with almost no effort. Number 4 is kefir. This is the sleeper hit of the fermented dairy world, and most Americans over 55 have never tried it, despite the fact that it carries more beneficial bacteria per serving than any yogurt on the shelf. Kefir is a fermented milk drink made by adding kefir grains, small clusters of bacteria and yeast, to milk and letting them work for about 24 hours. The result is a tangy, slightly effervescent drink, thinner than yogurt, but far more microbially diverse. A single cup of kefir carries 10 to 30 different beneficial strains, compared to the 2 or 3 in most yogurts. Kefir originated in the Caucasus Mountains between the Black Sea and the Caspian, where mountain shepherds have been making it for more than 1,000 years. Kefir grains were considered so valuable that families passed them down through generations. The drink arrived in American grocery stores in the early 2000s and has quietly become one of the most researched fermented foods in nutrition science. Modern research has linked daily kefir consumption to improved digestion, reduced symptoms of lactose intolerance, stronger bones, and better immune function. Studies have also shown that kefir microbes can actually colonize the gut for longer periods, something most yogurt strains cannot do. Choose plain kefir with no added sugar. Start with half a cup a day and work up to a full cup. It blends beautifully into smoothies and pours over granola like a thinner yogurt. Number 5 is kombucha. This fizzy fermented tea drink has gone from health food curiosity to mainstream grocery aisle in under 15 years in America. And for people over 55, it is worth understanding what the fuss is actually about. Kombucha is made by fermenting sweetened tea with a SCOBY, a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. During fermentation, the SCOBY consumes most of the sugar and produces organic acids, B vitamins, antioxidants from the tea, and small amounts of beneficial bacteria. The final drink is tart, slightly sweet, and naturally carbonated. The history of kombucha goes back more than 2,000 years, with origins traced to northeast China and early references suggesting it was consumed by the imperial court. The drink spread across Asia and eventually into Russia and Eastern Europe. American interest grew quietly during the 20th century and exploded in the 1990s as home brewers began sharing SCOBYs among friends. Modern research has confirmed that kombucha contains polyphenols, organic acids including acetic acid and glucuronic acid, and small populations of beneficial bacteria. Studies have linked regular consumption to improved digestion, lower blood sugar response, and reduced inflammation. Some research has investigated its role in supporting liver detoxification. Choose kombucha with low sugar content. Check the label because sweetened or flavored versions can add significant sugar back in. 4 to 8 ounces a day is plenty. It works especially well as a replacement for soda or juice at lunch. Number 6 is miso. If you have only encountered miso as the thin soup served at a Japanese restaurant, you are missing one of the most nutritionally dense fermented foods on the planet. Miso is a thick, salty paste made from soybeans, salt, and a fermentation culture called koji, sometimes with rice or barley added. The mixture is aged for months or even years, producing a savory, deeply umami-rich ingredient packed with amino acids, enzymes, and beneficial bacteria. Miso has been made in Japan for over 1,000 years, with historical roots going back to early Chinese fermented soy pastes. It was originally a staple of Buddhist monasteries, prized for its ability to provide complete protein and complex flavor without meat. By the Edo period, miso had become a standard daily food in Japanese households, and rural families often made their own batches each winter. Modern research has confirmed that miso contains probiotic bacteria, antioxidants, isoflavones, and key nutrients including vitamin K, manganese, and zinc. Long-term studies on Japanese populations have linked regular miso consumption to lower rates of stomach cancer, reduced cardiovascular risk, and better digestion in older adults. Add miso to soups, dressings, marinades, and glazes. Stir a tablespoon into warm broth at the end of cooking, not boiling, to preserve the living cultures. Refrigerate after opening. A spoonful a few times a week delivers the benefits without pushing your sodium intake too high. Number 7 is tempeh. Before I go further, ingredient number 9 on this list is something you can buy at any American grocery store. Something you probably already have in your refrigerator right now, and something most people get completely wrong. Stay with me for that. Tempeh is a firm, nutty-flavored fermented soybean cake originally from Indonesia. Whole soybeans are partially cooked, inoculated with a specific mold called Rhizopus oligosporus, and incubated until the beans are bound together into a dense, sliceable block. The fermentation makes the protein more digestible, breaks down phytic acid, and produces compounds that support gut health. Tempeh has been made on the Indonesian island of Java for at least 400 years. It was traditionally a staple protein for rural families who could not afford meat, and it became central to Indonesian cuisine for its substantial texture and long shelf life. Dutch colonial records describe tempeh production in the 17th century. The food arrived in American health food stores in the 1970s and is now carried in nearly every major supermarket. Modern research has shown that tempeh contains all 9 essential amino acids, beneficial bacteria, prebiotics, and high levels of vitamin B12 in some fermented varieties, something rare in plant foods. Studies have linked regular tempeh consumption to improved cholesterol, better blood sugar control, and stronger bone density in aging adults. Slice tempeh, marinate, and pan-fry, bake, or crumble into stir-fries and salads. It takes on flavor beautifully. A 3 to 4 ounce serving 2 or 3 times a week is plenty. Number 8 is natto. This is the fermented food that divides opinion more than any other on this list. And for Americans over 55, it carries benefits for bone and heart health that almost nothing else can match. Natto is whole soybeans fermented with a specific bacterial culture called Bacillus subtilis natto. The fermentation produces a sticky, stringy texture and a powerful smell that many first-time eaters find challenging. What it also produces is one of the highest concentrations of vitamin K2 found in any food on Earth, along with a unique enzyme called nattokinase that has been studied for cardiovascular benefits. Natto has been eaten in Japan for more than 1,000 years. Legend traces it to a Japanese samurai whose cooked soybeans accidentally fermented inside a straw bale and produced what became a staple Japanese breakfast food. Today, natto is eaten daily by millions of Japanese adults, often over rice with green onions and soy sauce. Modern research has shown that vitamin K2 from natto directs calcium away from arteries and into bones, supporting both cardiovascular and skeletal health as people age. The enzyme nattokinase has been studied for effects on blood clotting and circulation, with several clinical trials showing measurable benefits. Studies in Japan have linked regular natto consumption to reduced hip fractures and lower rates of heart disease in older adults. Natto is sold frozen in the Asian section of larger grocery stores. Thaw, stir vigorously to develop the texture, and mix with mustard and soy sauce. A couple of tablespoons a few times a week is the traditional serving. Number 9 is fermented pickles. This is the one I promised you, and here is why it matters. Almost every jar of pickles in the American grocery store is not actually fermented. Those cucumbers were cooked in vinegar, salt, and preservatives. They have no live cultures, no probiotic benefit, and nothing in common with the traditional fermented pickles your great-grandparents grew up eating. Real fermented pickles are cucumbers left in salt brine for 1 to 4 weeks. Lactic acid bacteria naturally on the cucumber skins take over, producing lactic acid, carbon dioxide, and billions of beneficial microbes. The resulting pickle is tangy, slightly effervescent, and nutritionally alive. Fermented pickles have been made across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia for thousands of years. Jewish delis in New York and Chicago built their reputations on traditional salt-brined pickles in the early 20th century, and the distinction between a real deli pickle and a vinegar pickle was once common knowledge in American kitchens. Most of that knowledge has been lost to shelf-stable convenience. Modern research has confirmed that traditionally fermented pickles carry similar probiotic benefits to sauerkraut and kimchi, supporting digestion, immune function, and nutrient absorption. Look for pickles in the refrigerated section of the grocery store, labeled raw, naturally fermented, or lacto-fermented, with no vinegar in the ingredients. The label will usually list only cucumbers, water, salt, and spices. 2 or 3 a day with meals delivers real probiotic value. Number 10 is apple cider vinegar. Most Americans have a bottle in the pantry, and most of them are using the wrong kind. The value in apple cider vinegar lies in raw, unfiltered bottles that still contain the mother, a cloudy sediment of beneficial bacteria, enzymes, and acetic acid. Clear, filtered versions have been stripped of most of these compounds and behave more like a basic acid than a living food. Apple cider vinegar has been used medicinally for thousands of years. Hippocrates prescribed it for wounds and digestive complaints in ancient Greece. American folk medicine has relied on it for generations to support digestion, soothe sore throats, and balance blood sugar. Rural American households traditionally made their own by letting hard cider age past its drinking stage. Modern research has confirmed that acetic acid in apple cider vinegar can slow the absorption of carbohydrates and reduce the blood sugar spike after meals. Clinical studies have shown modest improvements in fasting glucose, appetite regulation, and cholesterol markers with regular consumption. The mother itself contains beneficial bacteria similar to those in other fermented foods. Mix a tablespoon in a glass of water before meals, especially before anything with carbohydrates. Do not drink it straight because the acid can damage tooth enamel. Choose organic, raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with visible mother floating in the bottle. Number 11 is sourdough bread. Before industrial baking took over American kitchens in the 20th century, nearly all bread was made this way. And the difference between real sourdough and modern commercial bread is not a matter of flavor preference. It is a matter of digestion. Real sourdough is made with a living starter, a mixture of flour and water left to capture wild yeasts and lactic acid bacteria from the air. The dough ferments slowly, often 12 to 24 hours, during which the bacteria break down gluten and phytic acid and produce a bread that is easier to digest, lower on the glycemic index, and richer in nutrients than commercial yeast-risen bread. Sourdough is the oldest form of leavened bread on Earth, dating back at least 4,000 years to ancient Egypt. American settlers carried sourdough starters west during the 1800s, and California gold rush miners were so reliant on their starters that they became nicknamed sourdoughs. Traditional bakeries in San Francisco, New York, and Boston have kept the practice alive throughout the 20th century. Modern research has confirmed that fermentation in sourdough reduces phytic acid, which blocks mineral absorption in ordinary bread. Studies have also shown that sourdough produces a smaller blood sugar spike and improves digestion of gluten in people who are sensitive but not celiac. Look for real sourdough at bakeries or in the bakery section of larger supermarkets. Check the ingredients. A genuine sourdough should list flour, water, salt, and starter, nothing else. Number 12 is aged cheese. The cheese section at the supermarket holds a quiet secret. The older the cheese, the more fermented compounds, probiotics, and beneficial properties it contains. Aged cheeses like cheddar, Gouda, Parmesan, and Swiss go through months or years of controlled microbial activity. Bacterial cultures, molds, and enzymes slowly transform milk into a dense, flavor-rich food with high concentrations of protein, calcium, vitamin K2, and in some cases, live probiotics that survive through aging. Cheese-making dates back at least 7,000 years. Ancient Roman soldiers carried aged cheese on campaigns. European monasteries perfected the craft during the Middle Ages, and many of today's most famous cheeses were originally developed by monks. Wisconsin, Vermont, and New York became American cheese-making centers in the 19th century, and the tradition of artisan-aged cheese is alive across the country today. Modern research has confirmed high levels of vitamin K2 in aged cheeses, especially Gouda and hard varieties. Vitamin K2 directs calcium into bones rather than arteries, making aged cheese one of the best foods for preserving bone density after 55. Studies have also linked moderate cheese consumption to improved heart health and lower inflammation. Choose aged cheeses from the deli or specialty section rather than processed slices. A 1 to 2 ounce serving a day pairs beautifully with fruit, whole grain crackers, or a glass of red wine in the evening. Avoid ultra-processed cheese products, which carry none of the benefits. Number 13 is brine-cured olives. Most olives sold in American supermarkets have been chemically processed with lye to remove bitterness quickly. Traditional olives, the kind eaten across the Mediterranean for thousands of years, are cured slowly in salt brine, and the result is a completely different food. Brine-cured olives spend weeks or months soaking in salt water, during which lactic acid bacteria ferment the olive flesh and produce the tangy, complex flavor that defines authentic Mediterranean olives. The process also multiplies beneficial bacteria, preserves polyphenols, and creates a food that sits somewhere between a vegetable and a traditional fermented condiment. Olives have been cultivated in the Mediterranean for more than 6,000 years. Ancient Greek and Roman households ate them at nearly every meal. Olive culture followed trade routes across North Africa, the Middle East, and later into Spain and Italy, each region developing its own cure traditions. Mediterranean immigrants brought these traditions to American cities in the late 19th and 20th centuries. Modern research has confirmed that brine-cured olives contain polyphenols with strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity, heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, and beneficial bacteria, similar to those in other fermented foods. Studies on Mediterranean diet populations have linked regular olive consumption to lower rates of heart disease and better cognitive function in older adults. Look for olives in the deli section sold in brine, not canned in water with acid added. Kalamata, Castelvetrano, and traditional Greek olives are widely available. A handful with lunch or as an afternoon snack is plenty. Number 14 is beet kvass. This is one of the oldest traditional fermented drinks in Eastern European cooking, and almost no Americans know it exists, despite how much it does for the body after 55. Beet kvass is made by fermenting raw beets in salted water for 1 to 2 weeks. The result is a deeply colored, earthy-tasting, slightly salty liquid, packed with beneficial bacteria, nitrates that support circulation, and the full profile of beet nutrients in a highly absorbable form. Beet kvass has been made in Ukraine, Russia, and Poland for centuries. It was historically used as a household tonic to support digestion, cleanse the liver, and build blood in people recovering from illness. Traditional Eastern European healers used it as a daily maintenance drink for aging adults. The tradition arrived in America with Eastern European immigrants in the early 20th century, but remained largely within those communities. Modern research has confirmed that beets contain betalains, which are powerful antioxidants, along with dietary nitrates that improve blood flow and lower blood pressure. Fermentation preserves and concentrates these compounds while adding probiotic bacteria. Studies have linked beet consumption to better cognitive function, improved exercise performance, and healthier blood pressure in older adults. Beet kvass is available at some health food stores and farmers markets, or it can be made at home from raw beets, water, and salt. A small glass, 4 to 6 ounces, once a day, is the traditional serving. It works especially well as a before-meal tonic. Number 15 is fermented garlic honey. This is the fermented food that closes the list because almost no one in America knows about it, and it may be the single most powerful thing you can make at home for immune support during winter. Fermented garlic honey is made by submerging raw, peeled garlic cloves in raw honey and letting the mixture sit at room temperature for 2 to 4 weeks. During that time, the honey draws moisture out of the garlic, the mixture becomes runny, and slow fermentation produces a syrupy, deeply flavored remedy that carries the combined antimicrobial compounds of both ingredients. Garlic and honey have been used medicinally for thousands of years across nearly every major culture. Egyptian papyri describe garlic remedies dating back over 3,000 years. Hippocrates prescribed garlic for digestive and respiratory complaints. Raw honey was prized for wound healing and immune support across the ancient world. The combination of the two through fermentation is a traditional folk remedy common across Europe, the Middle East, and Appalachian American households. Modern research has confirmed powerful antimicrobial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory compounds in both garlic and raw honey. Allicin in garlic and the low-water, enzyme-rich environment of raw honey create a preserved food with unusual staying power. Studies have linked garlic consumption to improved cardiovascular health, immune function, and blood pressure in older adults. Take a teaspoon of fermented garlic honey at the first sign of a cold, during flu season, or as a daily tonic. The cloves soften and become sweet, and the honey carries the benefits of garlic in a form most people actually enjoy. And that is your 15 fermented foods that have kept generations of people healthy, sharp, and strong, and that are now backed by growing mountains of modern research. What makes these foods work is the way they restore something industrial food has stripped away: living bacteria, preserved enzymes, bioavailable nutrients, and slow fermentation compounds that your digestive system actually knows how to use. The people who lived to 100 in the longest living parts of the world were not drinking green juices. They were eating fermented vegetables with every meal, a spoonful of miso in their morning broth, yogurt at breakfast, aged cheese in the afternoon, and a glass of kvass or kombucha at night. You do not need to eat all 15. Start with 2 or 3 you actually enjoy, and build from there. Rotate through them across the week. Your gut, your bones, your heart, and your mind will respond faster than you expect. If this gave you something worth trying this week, share this video with a friend who cares about aging well. And if you are not yet subscribed to Evergreen Garden, click that button now and ring the notification bell. Every week, we bring you the plant and food knowledge that makes living well simpler, more beautiful, and more rewarding than you ever thought possible. I will see you in the next video.